Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, I mean. Yeah. Welcome to today's Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat. Danny, I wish you Chaim Aruchim for yesterday. Okay, so today we're going to have a Devar Torah from Leigh. And so over to Leigh. Here we go.
Good Shabbos, everybody, or good nearly Shabbos. This week's Sedra of Chukat is jam-packed with all sorts of things. The thing about the red heifer, death of Miriam, death of Aaron, all sorts of things happen. But the story that really grabs the headlines is the one where people start to moan because they've run out of water and they don't know what to do. So God says to Moses, gather the people, speak to the rock, and water will come out. So as you know, the story, he gathers the people, he hits the rock twice, water gushes out, and everybody's happy, except God. Because God then says to Moses, you didn't do what I asked. You didn't give an opportunity to sanctify my name, and therefore you'll be punished. And the punishment is that you are not going to enter into the land. Everybody seems to think or agrees that it seems to be a really harsh punishment for such a seemingly trivial offense. That Moses didn't give the opportunity to sanctify God's name. So we have to compare it and try and work out why. There are lots of commentaries about it, lots of explanations, but from my point of view, they've never quite filled the bill as to what's the reason behind this severe punishment. We have to compare it to the other time that Moses hits the rock, because the two situations, the two episodes are completely different. The first one is when they first come out of Egypt. After a few days, they run out of water, Moses hits the rock and water gushes out. Why is that important? Well, all the people knew that Moses was a good negotiator. He was a great shop steward. He'd been arguing with Pharaoh. The plagues came, all the other things came. They all witnessed this. So they knew he could negotiate, but was he a leader? So it's only when it comes to the time of striking the rock and the water comes gushing out, the people can see that Moses not only is a good negotiator, but he is a good leader. And therefore, once that happens, the people are very happy in that initial circumstance for Moses to lead the people. But here we are now for this week's Sedra, almost 40 years later. There's been wars, there's been discontent. We had Korach last week, have all these different people challenging and arguing and unhappy. And in fact, all the people who came out of Egypt, they've all died. The people who are standing in front of Moses are in fact a different generation, a generation born in the wilderness. They didn't see the plagues. They didn't see the crossing of the Red Sea. They didn't see the giving of the Ten Commandments. All they know is desert, from one place to another, with no respite. They're just lost. Everybody's forgotten them. They're just being ignored. And so the point was for Moses to talk to the rock. He wasn't going to go over it and just say, hi, rock, give us some water. He was obviously going to pray to God to say, please give us some water because you're holy and all the rest of it. And the people would have heard that. And if Moses would have done that, people would have realized that not only is Moses still got it and still the person who should be the leader, but also it would have proved to the people that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had not forgotten them, that he was still with them every step of the way. And they were now coming towards the end of their journey. And the fact that Moses didn't do that is the reason for the punishment. He took away the greatest opportunity for the people, a totally different generation of people, to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with them every step, behind their every move, and leading them to the promised land. And that's why, although it seems harsh, it is the punishment that was meted out for Moshe. So the moral of the story is, if you do what God wants, he does look after you and never forgets you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Thank you so much, Leigh. Very interesting. I think we can have a 3-hour share on that topic because there are lots more reasons as well. It's a very interesting one. Anyway, now we move on to Kabbalat Shabbat, and thank you very much, Rabbi